nations that also follow in on it. Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iran. There's actually 9 of them that had to make these changes in order to play well with others, so to speak, and be an intricate part of the global financial community. They've done that. So this is why you're seeing the GCR. This is why you're seeing currencies reevaluate back into where the real value of their currencies can be realized in the global markets. So you have to watch these things happen before you can start paying attention to time frames as to when your bonds you'll be compensated for your assets, for your bonds. So in a nutshell, when it comes to the bonds, we know that the G20 is active. We know that the G3 teams are active. They are, Jerzy brought up Hong Kong, Singapore, London. So they are moving around. Philippines, you're going to start seeing this activity, but the sovereign activity has to lay down first. So the sovereign activity will work first because they have larger assets, larger holdings. That is a different situation than the RV. So when you're talking about the global treaties and manipulation of the historical assets, unpaid sovereign debts, and the currencies, that's a different scenario than we, the public. We, the public, will come after that. So those situations are active. With those come from pretty reliable sources, profound people that don't pass on rumors and not subject to exaggeration. We can't identify them because it's just not ethical, number one. And we don't want to put them under the looking glass and have to change the direction of their manipulating of what they're doing, their agendas. These agendas take many years to put together. So the advice is to let the process go move forward. Just sit back. Everything is in process. It's a great time, and these things are moving forward. So there is no maybe anymore. So things are moving in the direction we want them to move in. The backlog of compiled manifests that have circulated, they've gathered up the assets globally to get a head count. So they've been doing that we've been talking about on our calls. They've been doing that for the past month, 6 weeks, where they're manifesting and getting spreadsheets to get a count of how much is out there. And then
actually, if I may add to that, Doug, they actually started with the Mexican bond circus about 5 years ago or so. And that's when it started. That was actually a UN initiative. They sent one of their men over to Mexico to start tabulating that, and that's how it started. Everybody started focusing on the bonds. And if you remember the Mexican circus, that's when it happened. They tabulated it, they got the manifest, they found out who's who owns what. Now, at that point in time, the mafias of the world stepped in, the drug cartels and everybody else, once they got wind of this, and they started poaching. Some people got killed for their bonds. People are still getting killed for their bonds. Once that circus died down in Mexico, it became a little bit quiet. Then it started again with the Chinese bonds. A little bit of German and other things happened at that time. But then it died down again. Now, over this period of time, they did get a reasonable head count, as Doug said. But over the last several months, say 6 months or approximate time, they've really been going very, very strong to find out who is where and who really owns this. They matched it against what was happening before, and a lot of bad guys got caught that poached on the files or took them over or extorted them, and a general cleanup took place on that. So now we're at the point where there is an actual activity that is going to result in results right now. So that's a little bit better snapshot of the bond market as it is.
Yeah, just to wrap it up, again, our intention is to help everyone. We do not speak to Kirk, just our clientele base that has assets in with us. These conversations and these conference calls that we have for the public are designed for everyone. No matter what direction you're checking your assets or who they're lodged with, you have to look at the bigger picture of what we're discussing. And these are the things that have occurred over the past 5 or 6 years that weren't really let out to the public. It's all being done very quiet. And it's one of those, because you don't want to open that door and start putting yourself through public scrutiny, but you don't have it completed yet. The next thing you know, you have so many eventualities that come in. What about this? What about that? But the next thing you know, it gets slowed down again. Now, this was to take place in 2010, 2012, and 2014. So because of these delays and because of rooting out the bad guys, things took the proper path. It's for our safety and for global safety that things are taking the time that they're taking. So be prepared, is what I can tell you, to keep yourself structured, stay good with the holidays, and be close to your family. Let's move more for the mentality of the project funding. We're at Landa Humanist. Our efforts are all geared to helping humanity and getting back into the projects. So I would suggest that those who, and trust me when I tell you, a lot of folks say that they have projects behind their assets, that they want to go into projects, but in reality it's a greed factor. There's nothing wrong with having wealth and taking care of your family, but there is something wrong with trying to be a 100 billionaire or a trillionaire and not thinking of the people and the work you can do with it. Your mind has to be trained in that direction. You don't just one day wake up and figure out how to be a humanitarian. It starts from, I won't call it preaching, but I've stated on numerous calls. You have to start gearing your mind that direction. The sacrifices you will make will be unyielding. When you step out to try to save other people and not yourself, but it does require setting up your family and your immediate circle of influence so you don't have those concerns. Kind of like putting the oxygen mask on first before you can help others. That's understood. But the greed factor won't happen. The global authorities got that wrapped up. It's not their first rodeo. They got it figured out. They're not going to make multi-billionaires and trillionaires. Okay? We're out to help people. That's what we're here to do. I suggest everyone get in that mindset because you will be rooted out. We have a lot of people that listen to us. The Cabal bankers, they all listen to us. We've had feedback from some pretty strange places that we didn't even know had phones. So we know that somebody does not want people to survive. Whatever madness or insanity drives in that direction, I'll never be able to figure that out. But right now, things are fantastic. They're moving very fast, and I don't see how things can be any better. I really don't. I can be more in-depth on a one-to-one and not on an open mic, simply because of security issues and what we've been ordered. We are following orders, and we have to follow them to the T for the safety of all concerned. And we're talking about our globe, so it's a pretty big safety issue that we're talking about here. So you can't take it lightly. What we talk about is pretty much factual, the best that we know at the time.
I'm going to ask something very direct this time, specifically around the currencies, because I know that you're saying that the sovereign piece of this is moving. Do you believe that there will be release of any funds for public exchanges before the end of the year?
Now, this gets into what I started with at the beginning of the call. The processes, you have to look at the bigger picture and how the funds are going to actually traverse its way through the systems. We could come out and say, yes, we expect certain public. The way that it's kind of been laid out is this. The private parties, including the Internet people, those are aware who are aware of it. So when we talk about public can refer to two things. It's those that are asset holders, currency holders, that have been following this for many years, that have the access to the information. Then you have the Forex, the actual public exchange.
All right.
The actual public exchange, I've been told several times, will occur